Welcome to TYT Sports, everybody. J.R. Jackson is in town. Actually, we work with him. He's in our studio, too. But sometimes...
I'm usually traveling, right?
Actually, you've been traveling a lot.
I don't know what you're talking about.
That's true. All right, so for those guys who are watching the show on Pluto TV and don't know who this man to my, technically your right, my left, is, J.R. Jackson is one of our producers, hosts. A jack of all trades for the Young Turks, and also a big sports fan.
I mean, I try. I mean, you know, we have a little bit of struggles every once in a while. You forgot you left off a USC Trojan because we're awesome this season in football, and we're going to go all the way.
1-3? Hey, look.
2.
Look.
Everyone keeps forgetting the second one. We just destroyed Arizona State
last weekend. The Cavs came back from 1-3. You guys can come back from 1-3 too.
We've already begun. We've won 2 games.
USC Trojans. They're still the #1 football team in Los Angeles. As the Rams get slightly better, we'll get closer.
Yes.
But we have 3 stories that have nothing to do with the NFL today or the USC Trojans. Yeah. Actually, maybe the last one does. So Damian Lillard, by the way, one of the point guards I have not discussed all too in depth when it comes to these solo clips. I've been doing ones on John Wall. You can take a look at those. Ones on Kyrie Irving. And a lot of people said, what about Damian Lillard? Well, I don't think Damian Lillard has necessarily the skill set that puts him in the top 3 or 4 point guards in the league. However, I am a huge fan of his. I think he is one of the most clutch shooters in the NBA. I think once the fourth quarter starts, he turns into a different player. He also had some really interesting words for Sirius XM's NBA radio station in terms of why his pride, why his competitive spirit would make him never join a super team. You can take a look right here.
I really don't care about the chance they give us. You know, if somebody wants to go join people and do that, then, you know, it's not against the rules. They can do it. You know, it's just more pressure to win when you do it. And if, you know, some people say, oh, they just joining up, they had to do this to win it. But we play the game to win it. So when people do it, that's their decision. I wouldn't do it. That's just not who I am. You know, I might have too much pride for that, or, you know, be too much of a competitor where I couldn't bring myself to do it, but it also makes it more fun. You know, you get to take a monster down, and that's always fun.
But that's always your role, isn't it, though?
Yeah, I love being an underdog. You know, I love being the smaller man, and that's, you know, I love to take that challenge.
I love this, man.
Isn't it awesome?
Yeah, no, this is the thing. People have these issues with the NBA, and I love the NBA. The entire 82-game stretch, I've always said many times, I could watch every bit of it. This is great. So these storylines are always set up like this. I wonder who he's talking about, right? They probably even mentioned it before that clip. Of course, I didn't see the whole appearance he had on that show. But, you know, so obviously we're talking about the Warriors.
Of course.
And in previous we've talked about the
Cavs.
Heat.
I'm sorry,
the Heat have put together a super team and things like that. And people get more upset, and later, and we're going to do more about later with hated teams and hated players for reasons like this. But obviously Kevin Durant is the subject of this conversation. And I read an article when he was in GQ, Kevin Durant, about how much he hates losing. And he said before that he hates losing so much that when he watches a game he's not involved in, he wants to see both teams lose. Like, he can't take losing. It's like it pains him to lose.
Right.
So after losing, I don't know if this leads more to his decision to go and play with the Warriors or a better decision to stay away. He hates losing so much. Do you join the team that just beat you, or do you hate losing so much that you don't like that team and you want to beat them? And Damian Lillard puts together a great thought about why not to.
It's both sides of the spectrum. You have, again, Kevin Durant, who, if he truly hates losing, he joined a team that might not ever lose ever again. Possibly, just saying.
Yeah.
And you have Damian Lillard, who does it in such a nonchalant way. He's very suave with how he says it, in a way where it's not a competitive, it's a competitive thing for him, but it's a, no, to each their own. You can go join. You can put all the All-Stars on one team. He wants them all on one team. It seems like it's not against the rules because he wants to be the underdog. And as the underdog, he's only thrived. How many times, time and time again, have we seen, going back to when they beat the Rockets on the Game 6 buzzer? There was a Game 7 weekend about 2 years ago, 3 years ago in the playoffs. I think it was 3 years ago, where there was, like, in the first round of playoffs, there was a whole weekend of Game 7s, and leading up to that was the Portland Trailblazers Game 6. That could have been a Game 7, but Lillard said, not on my watch, and hits the game-winning 3 at the buzzer to send them into the second round. That's also when LaMarcus Aldridge was going off on teams for 40-plus points a game at certain points. And since then, the legend of Damian Lillard grew, and I'm telling you, I've watched a lot of Portland Trail Blazers regular season basketball games and the playoffs. Last year, did they get lucky? Of course, the Clippers fell apart.
Who they beat then in the playoffs?
The Clippers, unfortunately, the injuries, Chris Paul and Blake Griffin, and everybody falling apart in terms of their health, is what enabled the Blazers to get through. Right. A healthy Clippers would have beaten that team. However, even with them being injured, even with the Blazers going on to play the Warriors, it was always, well, they don't have a chance. If the Clippers are healthy, they don't have a chance. Just look at the numbers from Damian Lillard in the fourth quarter. His scoring goes up. His field goal percentage goes up compared to the first half. He's also a slow starter. He's also a guy that you don't regularly see drop 10 points in the first quarter, really, or score 15 at the half. He's more of a guy that's 7 at the half and 20 in the second half.
Yeah, you always wonder if he worries about, because sometimes there's also, again, there's pressure from fans to writers to other players to coaches maybe even sometimes that will put a pressure on point guards to be like, yo, you're being a true point guard. Why are you looking to score so much? Why aren't you passing? You're supposed to be creating for the rest of your team. I don't know if that ever gets into his head or if even if anyone has specifically had those criticisms of him. They probably haven't because, as you said, the slow starts were counting points. So I wonder in what other aspects he helps.
Right, and by the way, this is also a team that defied expectations last year, the year before, the year previous. Obviously, Terry Stotts deserves his due. He's a fantastic head coach. CJ McCollum's rise as one of the better shooting guards in the league, which made them. It's not, it's funny because the key to success for a lot of teams, it's not the key to winning championships necessarily. It's not the key to, unlocking into becoming a top 4 seed in any team, but a competent backcourt combined with creative head coaching. The Celtics and Brad Stevens, the Blazers and Terry Stotts, and even look at the rise before Steve Kerr when he was match up the creativeness of Steve Kerr with Steph Curry and Klay Thompson, who was also, again, Steve Kerr gained the 2 greatest 3-point shooters in the league.
And someone else,
or 2 of the 3.
Someone else left them or was fired from that job because he couldn't do what Steve Kerr ended up doing.
And Mark Jackson when he left that when he was fired from that team, and then even adding more insult to injuries when he has to call the playoff games with that team. I understand that it was his team. I also understand fully that sometimes you need, Scotty Brooks is the same example, sometimes you need a coach to come in to take what is good and make it great, to take what is great and make it into a champion. And that's what Steve Kerr did, is he turned them into a champion. Contender now every single year.
So I guess, as far as Lillard and his points on this, I always liked the underdog role as well. I loved road games.
And he's also small.
Yeah, it's boring to play at home. It's boring to always have everyone that loves you. There's some level of excitement, and you want to take down something else. And say Lillard would join like the Warriors. Not that there's any scenario where he could, but considering what we're talking about, you join the Warriors. It's almost boring, isn't it? When you're chocked full of players like that, and you're like, well, I'm a great player. I need to show that I'm a great player. I'm a competitor. It kind of lessens the competitive edge if you just join a group that makes it easy.
Well, that's why there's always the people, and I guess we'll wrap up on this point, is that there's always going to be an outstanding amount of people who believe now that why should I watch the regular season? Well, those same people, for the most part, I'm sure watched in 2008 when the Celtics came together. I'm sure watched in 2011 when the Heat came together. And they'll watch in 2016 as the Warriors have come together because, as Damian Lillard said, you're going to watch them lose.
Absolutely.
You're going to want to see Damian Lillard drop 40 points on them in a game to beat them at Oracle Arena, because that's a little bit of a rivalry. Geographically, they're close enough that you can make a rivalry out of that. When the Clippers come to town, when the Thunder come to town, it's going to be very, very, very interesting.